Now, since August 8th, the day of the raid at Mar-a-Lago, the angle has been very clear. To at least half of the country, this investigation appears to be tainted by politics. Now, the belief isn't grounded in some knee-jerk dislike of the rank-and-file FBI, but in recent history, specifically the crusade waged by the deep state against Donald Trump from 2015 onward. A two-tiered system of justice, one standard for Hunter and Hillary, another for Donald Trump. Now, fast forward to present day, when the Fed's hunt for Donald Trump took another turn. U.S. Magistrate Bruce Reinhart of Jeffrey Epstein fame ordered DOJ lawyers to propose redactions to certain sections of the underlying affidavit, which then will most likely be released to the public, perhaps late next week. Now, various media organizations had petitioned the court to make public the full affidavit without any redactions. But of course, the DOJ opposed the affidavit's release, making these broad claims that releasing even limited parts of the affidavit could create dangers for witnesses or chill future cooperation and also reveal key investigative methods. And for obvious dramatic effect, they threw in reference to national security implications that are at stake. None of that, however, seems compelling, given what's at stake here. The public's right to know, along with the need to address public skepticism about this case, weighed in favor of releasing the entire affidavit, no question, and doing it immediately. And not just the affidavit, the security footage at Mar-a-Lago that was subpoenaed as well. We want to see that. Dragging this on through the midterms with dribs and drabs being leaked to key media figures, we know who they are, like the amorphous references to nuclear documents, that's designed to do one thing: to distract and frighten the voters as they head to the polls in key House and Senate races. To me, it's also obvious at this point. Now, on the transparency issue, the angle is pretty surprised that the Trump legal team chose not to file its own motion for a complete unsealing. Aaron Blake at the Washington Post has a theory as to why, saying seeing the document remain mostly sealed is probably best-case scenario for Donald Trump. His supporters and many Republican lawmakers declared the investigation an abuse of power before having virtually any information about it. Learning what prompted it would only force Trump and his allies to account for actual evidence. Well, joining us now to clear things up is Trump lawyer Christina Bobb. Now, Christina, thanks for being here tonight. You were in court today when the magistrate ruled. I'm curious about why you chose not to file an official motion or join another motion arguing this affidavit issue, given the president's desire, as he stated it, for full transparency.
He did state it. You're exactly right. We believed that Judicial Watch and some of the other parties actually had argued it quite well, and we believe it was very interesting and somewhat encouraging that you had parties from both sides of the aisle, of course, liberal media outlets coupled with a conservative watchdog group, really together on the same side. And so we were curious to see how that played out, of course, you know, reserving our rights to try something else in the future if we want to, but we really just chose to see how it would play out.
Well, I understand that you chose to do that, but I'm wondering, are you not concerned that because you didn't join any of these motions for, again, the full release of this affidavit, that you're then waiving possible objections to the way redactions are being done by the Justice Department later on? Because you didn't speak in court today, nor did you join any of these motions. They're going to redact all this stuff, and I'm not sure what grounds you're going to have at this point, having waived your right to file those motions.
Well, we would maintain that we haven't waived our right and that still is maintained. You know, we need to wait and see. I can't be certain at this point because we haven't seen the affidavit and we certainly haven't seen the redactions and how it's going to play out. But, you know, we'll be making that decision as it comes out. We got to see it. We haven't seen it. It has been under seal. So I don't know. We can't say.
Well, the spokesman for President Trump, Taylor Budowich, I believe, spoke out today and made another comment, about how the Democrats have a penchant for using redactions to actually hide the government's deception, corruption, just like they did with the Russia hoax. So he's obviously concerned about this.
That is a concern, and certainly the judge giving the Department of Justice basically carte blanche opportunity to redact however they want and whatever they want. It is a concern. I mean, I think that's a fair concern and something that we will have to deal with and figure out as it comes out and as we see what happens.
On the issue of the footage of where the documents were stored, much is being made of this footage that was actually subpoenaed by the Justice Department. Do you have any insight into what they claim was some big concern about this, what they understood to be a secure area, such that it would necessitate this 9-hour raid of Mar-a-Lago?
Right. I have no idea why they were particularly concerned about it. They had come out, the Department of Justice and the FBI had come out and seen it firsthand. They'd seen it in person, and they knew exactly what it was and where it was and how it was secured. And so the idea that they needed to raid it to see it again after President Trump himself had told them that, you know, you're welcome to come back if you feel the need to come back. So I think that's a bit disingenuous. I think it's typical of leftist media to come up with some salacious story that doesn't really make a lot of sense and kind of leaves people scratching their head, wondering what's going on, hoping that it'll just move past.
Sorry to interrupt, but was there a limited number of people who had access to that storage room? It seems like a pretty important room, right, since they've made such a big deal of it and have the lock on it and so forth. So were there a limited number of people who could go in and out?
Yes, absolutely.
Or have access to it?
Certainly Mar-a-Lago is secure in and of itself. You know, just getting onto the compound is hard. And then it was a locked door, and getting, you know, back down into the basement, there's security. You can't just walk down there. Only certain members of staff can get there, and then there's only one key. So, yes, it's a very limited number of people that have access down there. And, you know, it was enough to where President Trump believed, or our team believed, that it was secure enough. They asked for one more lock, add another lock, which we did. And then, for whatever reason, they decided that they still needed to raid the place.
And only 1 or 2 people had access to that room, to your knowledge?
That's my understanding. I mean, I would have to check with, you know, the maintenance of that area, but my understanding it is a very small number of people that could get in there. Are
you now asking the court, I believe I read that you guys are asking for that footage to also be released, correct? Am I correct in that?
I would have to double check on that, but I think they're comfortable with that, yes.
That's a lot of hours of footage to release. Christina, I know you've had a long day. We really appreciate your joining us tonight. Thank you so much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.